Hey, it's good to have you here with us this morning because there is a lot of very interesting weather to break down. And if you love watching thunderstorms or sitting in the living room listening to the lightning outside, I think today is going to be your day. We are seeing the potential for powerful storms tracking right across southern Ontario, and there could be a couple rounds of it. And I have to say, if you have today off and you're planning on going up to the cottage, if you're not leaving really right now or within the next hour or so, we're going to advise you maybe to put that off into tomorrow, because today we are going to see really a lot of power with these storms. And that storm risk is going to linger into Saturday, not as powerful, but still don't expect a perfect Saturday, and then clear and sunny as we end the weekend. Sunday, your better day, that's for sure. So why are these storms going to be so powerful? Okay, we got a lot of energy in the atmosphere. We look at the Cape, the higher the Cape, the bigger the potential for a storm. And we are looking at a decent amount of energy here. We're also looking at these really strong southerly winds coming into the picture. Cold front moving in that westerly fashion from west to east, bringing in that westerly wind. So we're going to see those clash as well. And that's why we could be seeing some isolated severe storms along the Huron shores, especially up towards Lake Simcoe, around Cottage Country as well. I know there's a lot of outdoor events kicking off today. The Taste of the Danforth, the Boots and Hearts Music Festival. We are looking at sort of a dangerous scenario at some times if you are going to be outside in these places with not a lot of shelter, because these downpours can be extremely heavy. Thunder and lightning is going to be coming in abundance, and we could also be seeing some hail with this, and we're not even ruling out the risk of an isolated tornado. It's just one of those days, yet again, very similar actually to what we saw last Friday. So into this evening, 21 degrees in Toronto, 19 in Barrie. We're likely to get a couple rounds of thunderstorms. So within the GTA, we actually could even see some spotty showers this morning. And then into the afternoon, we're thinking around noon, close to 3. That's when that line is going to track right across the GTA. We'll get a couple breaks at around 4 or 5 p.m. we're thinking. And then again into the evening hours, looks like we could get another round. We'll feel like 27. So if you are headed down to the Jays game tonight, prepare for some extra time. I'm sure the roads are going to be very slow today. And also that dome probably closed with the thunderstorm risk in place. As we take a look at your weather into Saturday, this area of low pressure sort of stays with us. It just sits in this trough. As long as we're in this trough, the big dip in the jet stream here, it's likely that we will be seeing some of this active weather. We need this to push out of the way. And as we get into next week, we will be seeing drier and clearer conditions. Sunday looks to be awesome. And then next week, a mainly dry week ahead, but still no 30s in that forecast. It's a calm and quiet start to the morning, but there really is a lot of action expected across the lower Great Lakes as we move throughout today. Lots of energy in the atmosphere. We're going to feel the heat, and then the cold front comes through, and you know the recipe, the perfect recipe for thunderstorms. A couple of our webcams this morning, and I have to say the roads have been in great shape. No major problems out there. A nice smooth drive. If you are thinking of heading up to Cottage Country, honestly, go now. If you're ready to go, just leave now, because if you want to go this afternoon, I'm thinking that drive easily doubling and tripling in time. Being a Friday, okay, everybody wants to get up to Cottage Country, whether you're going to the north or over to the east, but we are looking at extremely powerful thunderstorms, and that is really going to slow you down. We're talking the potential for flash flooding here. So right now in Toronto, 20 degrees, the winds are nice and light. It's going to be a strong southerly flow throughout the day today, and those winds are going to be picking up in intensity, especially as that front is coming in this afternoon. 24 degrees in Toronto. So for the rush hour drive this morning, could we see a couple showers? It is possible. We're thinking at around 6 to 7 a.m., around that period, eastern portions of the GTA. You may get a couple showers. Other than that, though, that's just the appetizer. The big main event that's coming through this afternoon. And we are going to look at this cold front slice right across southern Ontario. As we take a closer look as to where we live, a couple areas of concern are along the Huron shores. This is where we could be seeing some bigger, some powerful storms, and also up towards Lake Simcoe through Cottage Country and over to Barrie. Now, a couple reasons here. We're seeing that very strong southerly flow, but as that cold front comes in, that westerly wind moves with it. What you're looking at here highlighted is the spin in the atmosphere, and with that spin we could get a storm to rotate. So a couple regions that we're watching is along the Huron shores, over through Barrie and into Cottage Country yet again. 21 degrees this evening in Toronto, 19 in Newmarket. All right, the Perseid meteor shower, that is happening this weekend, and here's how you can take the best pictures of it. Have a look. You're looking at more meteors than usual. Usually we see about 80 per hour, expecting to see even more last year. This year, full moon's going to be a bit of a flaw, and also bit of cloud cover. So tonight we are going to be looking at that cloud cover slowly clearing out though, and the peak of this is going to be pre-dawn into August the 12th. So as we look here late onto Saturday night, that's when all these clouds are going to start to clear, and then Sunday, pre-dawn into Sunday, that's probably when we'll have the clearest skies to see some of those meteors. So make sure you just remember, even if you're not the biggest sky watcher, look up to the skies, especially if you're away from the city lights. You should be seeing an amazing show. Now, if you love thunderstorms and you consider that to be an amazing show, well, you're in for quite the treat today. This here is a look at the future radar. This is a timestamp just about this afternoon, 2 p.m. Starting to see more of that action build across southern Ontario. There is a ton of energy to work with, and as this cold front comes in, we're talking heavy downpours, thunder, lightning, hail. Winds could be damaging, and we're not even ruling out the risk of a tornado. So I do want to point out something. You travel up the 400, of course, everybody wants to be in cottage country. This is where we are going to see some severe weather. And in Oro-Medonte, just outside of Barrie, thousands of people are outside for the Boots and Hearts Music Festival. If that is you, I would highly consider postponing, maybe going tomorrow. We are really looking at some very intense weather tracking through, and lots of people outdoors with no shelter. You need a plan B. You need to have an option to get on the inside, because these storms, nothing to mess with today. 24 degrees in Barrie and in Toronto. Temperatures could be a little bit warmer for this time of year, but of course we're going to see a lot of that cloud cover today, helping to decrease those temperatures. And the energy, honestly, just so much to work with. And as this cold front comes in, that's what really is adding that extra lift and going to drive a line of severe storms right across southern Ontario. Today is the type of day that Environment Canada is going to be very busy. We're going to be very busy here at the Weather Network as well, communicating with you where all of those severe thunderstorms watches and warnings are in place. All right, so what happens next for your weekend? Your Long Ranger starts now. Looks like we could start off okay on Saturday morning, and then another round of storms likely to come through on Saturday. Not as intense, but we're going to watch for those popping up. Not as warm on Saturday either. Cottage country will struggle to get into the 20s, and then on Sunday we got some great sunshine. As we go through next week, it really is a mainly dry week, and temperatures slowly on the rise, and we are now tracking a good chunk of warm air. We're talking 30-degree air. That is going to be moving into the lower Great Lakes as we end off August. It's Friday morning, 6:06. Thanks so much for making the Weather Network a part of your day today. We have a lot of weather to get through. The potential for severe storms, it really just continues to grow as we go throughout this afternoon. And we're not just waiting for instability to bubble up today. There is an actual system, a cold front that will slice through our hot atmosphere. And that's really going to be the driver for some potentially severe weather. Storm risk is going to linger into Saturday, not as severe, but still not a perfect Saturday. And then a clear and sunny end to the weekend Sunday, looking to be the better day to get outdoors if you're just planning your events this weekend. All right, 20 degrees right now in Toronto. Those winds are coming in out of the south, and it's the strong southerly wind that is really going to pick up as we look at the front approaching. Westerly winds interacting with that in behind the front. So there's going to be some spin in the atmosphere today, and that's why today we can't rule out the risk of seeing an isolated tornado. As we look at the live radar this morning, you can see these showers are just tracking into Windsor. We've got some action on the east side of Lake Superior. That's where special weather statements are in place. I want to show you the potential of severe weather when we say severe. I want to take you down into... Now, are we predicting flooding widespread that looks like this? No. But in local areas, we could be seeing rainfall rates that are just too much for the water drainage systems to handle. This afternoon, 24 degrees in Toronto and in Barrie. That line of thunderstorms is going to come through along with the cold front. So just after 12 o'clock, that's when we're going to be watching, especially between 1 and 3. That's likely when this will be coming through the GTA, and then closer to about 3, 4, 5 p.m. That's when we're really going to see this hit cottage country, and up the 400. That drive on a Friday already slow. Add these thunderstorms into the mix, yeah, that's where things are going to be painfully slow. In my opinion, if you can delay going to the cottage into Saturday, I would, or leave right first thing this morning. As we look at this system that's coming in, it's organized. Warm front stretched in yesterday. It's the cold front that we're waiting for. So this is a timestamp here of about 11 a.m. this morning. You can see some spotty showers are moving in, and then that more organized heavy rain starts to push in around 1 and 3 p.m. And then cottage country here. This is where we're going to be watching for some severe storms. Again, we're not ruling out the risk. There is a potential today to see an isolated tornado. It actually is a very similar setup to what we saw last Friday. Saturday Saturday morning, 19 degrees in Toronto. A few spotty showers into Saturday morning, and then another round of rain is likely as we go into the afternoon. Saturday, 24 the daytime high, and if you're just planning the outdoor events, again, Sunday, that's the day to be on the outdoors. If you stay with us throughout the show, we're going to be taking you to the Taste of the Danforth. Emily Vukovic will be joining us. Another weekend is upon us, and that means lots of delicious events to check out. There really is a food theme going on this weekend. 3 Rib Fests you can check out in Hamilton, Brantford, and in Cambridge. Of course, Taste of the Danforth happening too. Emily Vukovic there today, and it looks like an awesome event. Of course, watching out for the thunderstorms, though. If you are at Boots and Hearts, very popular country music festival happening up in Oro Medonte. Take the 400. I'm sure traffic's going to be very busy with everybody headed to this, especially Sunday when everybody's leaving this as well. But if you will be here on Friday, we really are warning you. Thunderstorms are going to be intense and powerful. This is an outdoor event, Burles Creek Event Grounds. That is going to be quite a dicey area to be on the outside, to be honest. So again, keep the Weather Network app with you and have a plan to get indoors. You can also check out the Craft Beer and Food Truck Festival. That's happening in Toronto. Food Truck Festival, by the way, happening in Pickering too. And also the Perseid meteor shower. That is taking place this weekend. When the skies are clear, look up at night and you should be able to see an amazing meteor show. It is 6:17 and you are watching the Weather Network on this Friday morning. We've made it already to another weekend in the summer. And I know you want a great forecast, but we are going to have to get through some storms. And we're getting into that stormy update in a second. But first up, it's been so warm across the west. That's where all the heat has been bottled up throughout BC's interior and within Alberta that are getting into the 30s. And you know what? Heat, dry weather, and sunshine is not always the perfect combo. The wildfire scenario is still huge across British Columbia. There's even talks of actually closing some portions, completely closing, even roads, highways included, some portions of the backcountry. So that's a story we're following at the Weather Network. For us, it's 20 degrees this morning in Toronto. In Barrie, we are looking at a bit of a gray start to the day today, and we are looking at showers tracking in this morning. Light spotty stuff this morning, and then into the afternoon, that's when the big cold front comes by, and that is likely to spark severe weather. Today is the type of day where we're not just waiting on instability to pop. Today is the type of day where we have a well-defined trigger coming in, and that's going to set off a line of thunderstorms. So as we look here up to the northeast side of Superior, we do have special weather statements in place here for the heavy rainfall, and you're already starting to see the signs of that front moving into Windsor. So by the time we're into the afternoon, we will be in the action. 24 degrees in Toronto, 27 in Windsor. So we're looking a little bit below seasonal today, but we have a lot of energy to work with and a lot to set off these storms. So the daytime heating, we really don't even need it. There already is ample energy to work with. So strong southerly flow throughout the day today. Those winds are really going to pick up. You're going to feel that come in, especially when the thunderstorms are approaching. And it's going to interact with the westerly wind that the cold front will bring. So it looks like we do have a decent amount of spin in the atmosphere as we look at places like the Huron Shores, up towards Barrie, along the Bruce Peninsula. These areas here, this is where we could be seeing the risk of an isolated tornado. And there's really all the threats coming into the picture with this system. The heavy downpours, the lightning, the hail, damaging winds as well. Now this is going to sit with us into Friday evening. Saturday morning we should start clear, and then into the afternoon some spotty showers are back. We could be seeing some thunderstorms, and then Sunday, that's your day to get on the outdoors. Sunday is the beautiful outdoor day where this area of low pressure is finally out of the way. 24 degrees tomorrow, risk of a thunderstorm, and 24 with sunshine on Sunday. All right, before we go here, I just want to show you the DVP is starting to build already. We've made it to the weekend yet again. Happy Friday. Rachel Schoutsen here with you. Meteorologist Kelly Sonnenberg joining us as well. And Kelly, Friday's upon us, but we're going to have to get through a severe period of storms.
Oh, yeah. And you know what, Rachel? I feel like we could probably rerun what we said last
Yes,
Friday.
I agree.
Because we're looking at the same type of setup across Ontario into Quebec. Not only Ontario, Quebec, even the Maritimes going to be impacted. And we've got a little bit of an overcast start to the day in Guelph.
All right. So we are going to be explaining the story and who could be seeing these storms when. But first up, let me show you the messaging from Environment Canada, because we want to show you that the rainfall is going to be heavy and it's going to come down hard today. We're going to be putting out the severe thunderstorm watches and warnings, and we're going to be communicating them with you. So make sure you download that Weather Network app. Take us with you today if you are going to be out on the roads. If you're taking a trip to cottage country, honestly, good luck.
Yeah, you know what? I'd suggest people to stay home, maybe watch some Netflix tonight.
Yes.
Get up early tomorrow and hit the road. road. Then you don't have
Good
traffic.
idea.
You don't have weather. It's going to be great.
Good idea. Here's a look at the radar, and you can see that we're starting to see some more action moving into Windsor, up towards Cottage Country. Things have been pretty spotty this morning.
Limits thunderstorm development, but I mean, like last Friday, we saw the cloud cover, and that still didn't stop strong thunderstorms from developing.
You got it. So this here is a look at the risk of storms today. It is very widespread, and if we could nail down a few areas where things could be a little more severe, well, that here, so similar to what we saw last week, we're not ruling out the potential of an isolated tornado.
No, and now 3 have been confirmed from that activity last week. We've been talking about kind of a series of waves that are going to move through. We've got a little bit of misty, a couple spotty showers this morning. Into the afternoon, we'll start to see some thunderstorms develop. But Rachel, it's going to be really along that cold front. That's our main mechanism for the lift in the atmosphere when we see the strongest thunderstorms.
And you know, this week we've been waiting for that instability to pop. Today,
body convection in the morning. Montreal, Quebec City, probably okay for much of the day. But you know, some people will be traveling towards the eastern townships, and you'll have to be aware that we're probably going to be seeing some strong thunderstorms.
Yeah, you got it. Here's a look at your temperatures as we go in towards this evening. 20 degrees in Montreal. Going into the Maritimes as well. Today, we are looking at fairly nice conditions, but stormy. That's what we're getting into for the weekend.
And more so focused across northern portions of New Brunswick. But like Rachel said, we're going to see a period of showers and thunderstorms this weekend. You can see more right now in your local forecast.
It is 6:37. Great to have you along with us this morning. You are watching the Weather Network, and before we get you to the weekend, well, we got to get through a lot of thunderstorms. Big, powerful thunderstorms. They're expected today. We're not just waiting for instability to pop up. We are looking at an organized system coming through, and that system will linger into Saturday, and then Sunday, that's definitely your better day to get on the outdoors. Before we jump into our forecast and also take you to the taste of the Danforth, just want to show you these problems out here on the 401 westbound. Just a heads up, a very slow go as you head through Markham and McCowan. All right, as we take a look at the energy today, there is a lot of it. So we are waiting for this cold front. The timing on the thunderstorms is all just ahead. But right now, I want to turn things over to Emily Vukovic. Emily, looks like you have a fun morning planned for you this morning. And by the way, welcome back from vacation. We missed you.
Thank you. Well, Rachel, I've decided that I'm going to trade in my southern fried chicken and my peach preserves for some Slovakia, some gyros, and some tzatziki. Whew.
All right, Emily, looking forward to seeing the taste of the Danforth this morning. And yeah, as she mentioned, we could be looking at a few pop-up showers, but that's really just a little taste of what's to come. It's this afternoon after about 12 o'clock, between 1 and 3, a line of storms comes across the GTA, and that's really going to spark some severe weather. When we look at the threats today, all of them listed, and even an isolated tornado possible, especially along the shores of Huron, up towards Cottage Country along Simcoe as well. And that's just because we have a very strong southerly wind, the way that it interacts with the water, and also that westerly wind coming in with the cold front. Looks like we could see some extra spin around these places. This is a live look at the radar this morning. You can see the action just starting to move into Windsor. So we've got some time before we really start to see things bubble up across the GTA. All right, before we go here, just want to remind you, this is your Weather Wake Up on the Weather Network, brought to you by McCafe. Right now it is 6:46. We're just about to take you to the taste of the Danforth. I want to show you, though, the sunrise happening across southern Ontario, becoming a little brighter out there, but not too sunny. We've got a lot of cloud cover across us, a bit of a gray start to the morning, and that's because it's all signs of this system that's moving in. We're 21 degrees in Toronto right now, already a hot start to the morning, and as we go into the afternoon, this cold front comes through. It has a lot of energy to work with, and this is where we're likely to see some thunderstorms. So for the GTA, think from about noon to about 4 p.m. That's when we could be seeing the worst, and then there's actually likely another round that could come again towards the evening hours. 24 degrees today for the daytime high, and we're going to be worried a lot more about than just the temperature today. It's the heavy downpours, the big potential for lightning and hail, and we're not even ruling out the risk of an isolated tornado. So there really is a lot of weather to watch today. So I'd love it if you could keep connected with us here at the Weather Network. All right, Emily, want to turn things over to you. Taste of the Danforth happening this weekend, and of course, they wanted some sunnier skies for this one. We may have to be dodging some showers today for sure. So awesome, Emily. We'll look forward to that this morning. She's at the Taste of the Danforth, and that event happening all weekend long. Pickering has the Food Truck Festival, Toronto Craft Beer Festival. Lots to check out, but also a lot of weather to be watching too. So this is the thunderstorm risk today. Like I said, all of the threats are there. And I want to highlight this along the Huron shores and up towards Cottage Country along Simcoe and Georgian Bay. This is where we see the isolated and severe threat. And there's just a little more spin in the atmosphere here. Essentially, as the cold front comes in, it brings that westerly wind in behind behind it. But we've got that strong southerly wind working with us throughout the day today. So as those two sort of clash together, it adds in that wind shear that we need to see rotation when we look at storms. That's change in wind direction with height in the atmosphere. So that's something we're going to watch, and that's why we're not ruling out the risk of an isolated tornado today. Lots of energy to work with, and there's the cold front. We're waiting for that to come and pass us as we go into the afternoon. Before we go here, just want to show you 401 westbound. Look, it's, pardon me. It is great to have you here with us this morning. You are watching the Weather Network right now, 7:06 a.m. Caught me off guard there. It is Friday, and as we take a look at some of our developing stories here, we are expecting to see those storms. They will be powerful, and that storm risk is going to linger right into Saturday. Not as intense for Saturday, but still the potential for some storms. Sunday looking much clearer. All right, Emily, taste of the Danforth this morning. Want to send things over to you. Good morning.
Emily.
I think you're talking to me.
Ooh, that looks so good out there, Emily. Taste of the Danforth happening this weekend. Craft Beer Festival in Toronto, Food Truck Festival in Pickering, and a big one, the Boots and Hearts. That is up in Oro-Medonte. And I just want to say, if you are going to this event, please be safe. We are seeing the potential for some very severe weather. This is a huge outdoor music festival. People were putting up their tents yesterday. So there's going to be a lot of people in the crosshairs of some very severe storms. As we look at our weather this morning, you can see that action just starting to move into Windsor over Lake St. Clair. We're watching this area here where we live within the GTA around noon to 3. That's when that cold front's going to be passing us, and that's when we are likely to get into some of the most severe weather. When I say severe, heavy downpours, lots of thunder and lightning, hail, even the potential for an isolated tornado. Not to scare you, but it's a very similar setup to what we saw last week, last Friday. 3 confirmed tornadoes within Huntsville. So a similar setup again, and we're especially going to watch the eastern side of the Huron shores, and then again also up towards Barrie, around Lake Simcoe, and then around the Georgian Bay. Essentially, there is enough spin in the atmosphere here in order to get those storms to rotate, and we do need some of that rotation in order to see a tornado. So this year, as the organized system continues to push further to the east, a couple showers, spotty stuff this morning, and then we're watching really in through the afternoon. That's when that heavier rain comes in, and it's all along that cold front, really adding that extra lift and sparking up the atmosphere. So there's going to be a lot of weather to watch for today. Just want to show you this before we go. This is the Weather Wake Up on the Weather Network, brought to you by McCafe. It is great to have you here with us this morning because we are seeing the potential for some pretty severe weather. The right parameters are coming into play. If you think back to last Friday, remember how stormy that got, how wild it got in the afternoon? We're looking at a very similar setup. As we see Barrie this morning, a bit of a haze, that gray sky over top of Kempenfelt Bay. We're looking at this system already coming in. A bit of cloud cover. It's muggy this morning. We're likely to see a few spotty showers. We're going to be tracking them now as we get into the 7 o'clock hour, and we've already really started to see more action building in across Windsor over Lake St. Clair, and that's the cold front that is coming for us. So when will we see the bulk of this active weather? We're going to dive into that forecast just after Emily. She's at the Taste of the Danforth this morning. And Emily, want to turn things over to you. How is that cooking creation going? Looked pretty delicious 10 minutes ago. Is it all gone now?
Yeah, I ate it all. Sorry, segment's over.
And you can check out Taste of the Danforth this weekend. Emily, looks awesome out there. I quickly want to get to the energy here because we're seeing a really hot air mass coming in for us. A lot of energy to work with. And as this cold front approaches, it slices through the atmosphere, really stirs it up, adds that extra lift, and boom, we get the big thunderstorms. So this afternoon, we're looking at around noon to about 3 p.m. We're watching for the severe weather really sparking across the GTA. Before we go, just want to let you know problems have cleared up. Hey, it's Friday morning, and we want to get you into another weekend. Rachel Schoutsen and Kelly Sonnenberg here with you. And Kelly, okay, it's the weekend. There's lots of outdoor events happening. Totally. And I want to mention this. Up in Oro-Medonte, so that's just outside of Barrie, big Boots and Hearts Music Festival. We're talking thousands and thousands of people that last night set up their tents or they're driving up there today. They're going to be outdoors enjoying this music, and we're talking intense thunderstorms.
Yeah, we're going to have to keep an eye on these thunderstorms, especially through the afternoon and evening hours. So like you said, people, they're not going to be inside in hotels. No. They're going to be in intense. So I'm not exactly sure what happens if strong thunderstorms come through, if there's any type of
There has to
evacuation.
be a plan.
But definitely have the Weather Network app downloaded on your smartphone because you'll get alerts if you're under severe thunderstorm watches or warnings.
And we're going to be busy today here at the Weather Network, Environment Canada as well, issuing those watches and warnings. You can already see the haze building over top of Guelph this morning. Was looking at the Barrie webcam. It looks exactly the same, that sky across southern Ontario.
You know what? I think, all of southern Ontario, even to portions of Quebec, it's misty, it's overcast. And, Emily's outside. We've been talking with her. It's sticky outside. We've got still some special weather statements in place east of Lake Superior, Rachel. We've got lots of moisture, of course. That's why it's feeling so sticky. So we could be seeing some heavy downpours. And, of course, we're going to be seeing severe thunderstorm watches and warnings issued at some point.
You got it. That hot, sticky atmosphere, perfect breeding ground for lightning as well. Perfect breeding ground for very heavy downpours. So we're going to get to the timing of this in a second. But right now we want to turn things over to Emily Vukovic this morning. And Emily, we've been watching you sample some awesome foods this morning. What are you trying now?
Well, I'm not actually eating now. Now I'm dancing it off because I just shoved my face full with shrimp and feta cheese and onions and garlic and all sorts of loveliness. But
And so we take a step with our right foot to the right, cross over with your left foot, another step to open with the right, and then kick with the left, step, and kick with the right. And that's it. Pretty simple. And
I got this. This is no problem. I got this. Right? I could almost go faster.
yeah.
All right. I'm not going to, but see, I'm learning all sorts of things here, ladies, except now I'm going the wrong way. All right. The music here is wonderful. Of course, this dance is incredibly traditional. And not only am I eating food and dancing badly, there's going to be lots of things to do for the entire family here, for kids and parents alike. So you can come and learn how to do this fun dance. I'm really not on the beat. I'm sending it back into you guys. I'm like messing it up so embarrassingly.
You know what? Rachel and I were saying maybe just stick to the eating. That's so much more enjoyable and more easy.
Emily just proved it is hard to memorize a dance, deliver forecasts, talk on live television, all at the same time.
Okay, so let's talk again about the thunderstorm.
Powerful thunderstorms today because they are very likely. What we're seeing here is an atmosphere that is just perfect for powerful thunderstorms. And when I say powerful, I'm talking all the threats here. The rain that could be torrential, the winds that could be damaging. We're not even ruling out the risk of a tornado. Now, we are looking at the potential here for the storms to linger into Saturday, not as powerful. And then Sunday, that's your outdoor day as we look at the weekend. Beautiful conditions into Sunday. All right, this is the energy that continues to brew across the lower Great Lakes in through Quebec as well. It is all going to be interacted with a cold front, and that cold front along that line, that's where we will be seeing some of the biggest storms. So think for the GTA region, about noon, 12 o'clock towards 3, that's when things are really going to start to spark, and then we could see another round yet again into the evening hours. North of the 407 up towards Barrie, that's where we are expecting to see things really becoming the most severe and the most powerful today. All right, Emily, I want to turn things over to you this morning at Taste of the Danforth, an event that hopes to be spared for the thunderstorms. I know it's been looking okay this morning, but this afternoon, they're going to need a plan to be on the inside.
I'm going to send things back in studio, but come back to us in about 10 minutes and maybe the plate will be broken, Rachel.
Okay, we're going to be working on those plate breaking skills. We have more on your thunderstorms that we're expecting today that's just ahead, and Force of Nature is up after this. Happy Friday, August the 11th today, and into the weekend, we're getting into the Perseid meteor shower. If you stay with us, we're showing you an amazing time lapse of the Perseids and what you can expect this weekend. We'll look up to the skies. When those clouds start to clear, you're going to see some action, especially if you're away from the city. But before we get to the amazing meteor shower and before we get into the weekend, we got to get through the storms. This morning, we can see that gray haze building across southern Ontario. There's a lot of cloud cover out there, but it feels sticky. It feels muggy out there. Already 21 degrees in Toronto. That southerly wind continues to be pumped in today, and we have a lot of energy to work with. So as this system comes in, it's an actual area of low pressure that is going to trigger thunderstorms today. We're not just waiting for a lake breeze to pop up some storms or some instability to go off. This is a line of storms that we are expecting from around noon to 3 p.m. That's when we will be in the crosshairs. 24 degrees in Toronto today, 25 in Oakville, 23 in Newmarket. We certainly have that thunderstorm risk widespread. We'll talk about some of the threats that we're dealing with when it comes to this weather today. But first, we take you to the Taste of the Danforth. And Emily, how are those plate breaking skills? Are they up to par now?
We had to give up.
There is so much more than just Greek food at Taste of the Danforth. Emily proving that to us this morning. Thanks for that, guys. And again, we're going to be checking in with them throughout the hour. So much fun every time we join them. Okay, as we look at the thunderstorm risk today, if you love thunderstorms, well, today is your day because we really are tracking quite a bit. When we look at the main threats with this, feel that humidity in the atmosphere already this morning. That hot, humid atmosphere, perfect breeding ground for some lightning. Perfect breeding ground as well for some very heavy downpours. So heavy rainfall, we're putting that there. Small hail, can't rule that out. Also, the strong winds, they could be damaging. It's a southerly wind, then changing to more of a westerly wind as that cold front comes in. And also the risk of an isolated tornado, especially here along the shores of Huron and up through cottage country around Georgian Bay. These are two key zones. We see that change with wind direction with height in the atmosphere. It's that southerly wind, but then the westerly wind with the cold front, and that could cause a storm to rotate. Just want to show you the 401 this morning. Well, happy Friday. We have made it to the weekend. And before we get into all of our active weather, because we are expecting to see some powerful big storms today, I want to time it out for you. I want to show you an amazement in the sky that you can check out. Look at this. Beautiful. And we are going to be seeing that across the prairies. We've got some beautiful conditions really all weekend long to see that. But I know you're focused in on this here where we live within southern Ontario. Tonight, we could see a bit of a clearing, and the peak is really going to be pre-dawn into tomorrow morning. But late into Saturday through Sunday, we're going to see a nice clearing here, and if you look up to the skies, especially away from the city lights, you should be able to see the Perseid meteor shower. All right, let's get you into your forecast now. It's great to have you here with us because we are talking about some severe weather. This is a look at the future radar, and this is a timestamp of about 2 p.m. this afternoon. Notice some more of that energy starting to bubble up. Things are looking a little more active. As we go closer to 5 o'clock tonight, that's when we're going to get a lot more action up the 400. There's a big music festival happening outside, the Boots and Hearts Music Festival, or Medante, just outside of Barrie. It's going to be a lot of people on the outside, and as this severe weather comes in, you're going to need a plan. You're going to need that option to get indoors. We are looking at storms that are going to be producing lightning, hail, very heavy downpours. We're not even ruling out the risk of an isolated tornado, especially along the shores of Huron, also through cottage country and around Lake Simcoe. So these are some things that you need to remember today. You need to have a plan to be on the inside because these storms, nothing to mess with. 24 degrees in Toronto today, 24 in Barrie as well. Cottage country looking at that similar scenario. And again, these storms starting to track through as we go throughout the afternoon. It's a calm, nice start to the morning, but into the afternoon, things are going to change. This cold front comes in. There is a ton of energy to work with, and that's why we have such a widespread risk of thunderstorms. All right, what does the weekend hold? And let's talk about the heat that's on the way. Your Long Ranger starts right here. Okay, Saturday, not a perfect forecast. We are a little bit cooler, especially up towards cottage country, 24 in Toronto, and looks like we could be seeing a few spotty showers. Starting off dry, ending a little on that soggy note, and then as we go into Sunday, we've got a great forecast here. Beautiful conditions for Sunday, 25. I guess we could be a little warmer for mid-August. 26 is seasonal, but nice and dry. As we move through next week, we do have a mainly dry forecast, and we are noticing temperatures slowly on the rise. And it does look like as we end off the month, we are seeing a warm chunk of weather. We're talking 30-degree weather with this. That is moving into the lower Great Lakes. We'll take a look at Force of Nature when we come back. August the 11th and another weekend is upon us. Happy Friday. I'm sure you got that Friday feeling in your household or your office this morning. As we look, though, at what we have to get through before it's officially the weekend, well, there's certainly a lot of weather. There's a lot to talk about and a lot to break down. The powerful storms. These are expected today, and that risk is going to linger into Saturday as well. Not as intense for Saturday, but still not a perfect day. Perfect day, that's going to come into play for Sunday. A little bit below seasonal, but still gorgeous with lots of sunshine expected. Before we get to the Taste of the Danforth, Emily's been having an amazing time out there. I do want to show you the future radar. This is a pause point just around lunchtime, and you can see the showers starting to filter in closer to us here at home. Now, when we look at some of the most powerful and some of the strongest storms, it looks like they are keeping north to the 407, up towards Barrie, along that 400 stretch. The drive to cottage country on a Friday is already very slow and busy. Add these incredible thunderstorms into the picture, and things are not going to be too good. Now, Toronto is likely to get into those storms around 12 to 3. Another round coming through at night as well. We feel the atmosphere. It is hot, it is sticky, it is muggy, and as that cold front comes in, we are expecting to see some pretty explosive weather. 24 degrees in Toronto this afternoon. All right, Emily, weather aside, you're having lots of fun out there. Taste of the Danforth. And, you know, every time you've joined us this morning, you've been doing something new. There's so much more to do there than just eat delicious Greek food. Thanks for the update, Emily. And I want to talk about some of the threats now, some of the risks that we are looking at with these thunderstorms. So remember, things are going to start to really pop around noon over to about 3. That's when we're going to watch that cold front come in. Isolated severe storms along the Huron shores and also up through Cottage Country and around Georgian Bay. We're talking very heavy downpours. You feel that humidity in the atmosphere? There's a lot of moisture there. It's capable of raining a lot. That's also a perfect breeding ground for lightning, too. Strong winds that could be damaging, hail as well, and we're not even ruling out that risk of an isolated tornado, especially in the areas that we have marked isolated and severe here. Essentially, it's that southerly wind that comes in, interacts with that westerly wind as the cold front passes, and with that, that's where we see that change with the wind direction with height in the atmosphere. We call that wind shear, and that's something we need in order to get a storm to rotate. So this is the system that's coming in. This is going to be the big weather maker for us. Looks like around dinner time, around the rush hour drive home, Toronto could see a couple breaks as most of those storms will be north of the 407, but still, think active today. Saturday morning, 19 degrees, warming up to 24 in the afternoon, and storms still on the horizon for us. Need some plans this weekend? Just a couple times this morning, the sun, it's been trying to shine across the GTA. You can see it hitting the buildings here in Barrie, Ontario, but mainly a gray start to the day, watching for a couple showers, and then into the afternoon. That's when we're talking bigger weather. Potential for powerful thunderstorms that can drop very heavy amounts of rain, bring in damaging winds, hail, and also the threat of a tornado. Not to scare you, but we just want to warn you, and we want to keep you aware, especially at event. I just want to mention this before I get into the forecast. At an event up in this region here, the Boots and Hearts Festival, that's happening in Oro Medonte. And this is a festival where people are setting up their tents. There's going to be thousands of people on the outdoors. And watch the future radar just continue to clobber this region with thunderstorms. I wouldn't want to be at that festival this weekend. Just saying. You need to have a plan to be on the inside. Lots of people outside in tents enjoying country music, but we are looking at a bad forecast for that today. I know it's all weekend long. Perhaps think about going out on Saturday. We're still expecting to see some thunderstorms on Saturday, but not as intense. And then Sunday does look to be the most gorgeous day of the weekend. So this afternoon, 24 degrees in Toronto. We're going to talk about some of the energy that we're dealing with, and we'll time out some of these storms for you as well. But right now, the Taste of the Danforth. Emily, this is a delicious event, and you know, I've never been to the Taste of the Danforth, but you certainly are convincing me to do so. Looks awesome. Looks like a lot of fun, and you know what? You don't want to be in the line of these thunderstorms today, because look at this. There is so much energy to work with, and we're looking at an actual system, an area of low pressure with a cold front coming in, and that's going to send a line of storms right across the GTA. We're watching in between noon and 3 for all of this to spark up. Today is just going to be that type of day where the skies are a bit gray this morning. You're thinking, okay, something's brewing, and then into the afternoon, powerful thunderstorms. The type of day where you should have a plan to be on the inside, because outdoors this afternoon, I guarantee it, we're going to be looking at severe thunderstorm watches and warnings. Remember, these are issued by Environment Canada, and then we can communicate them to you. So make sure you keep connected with the Weather Network today. Powerful storms also lingering into Saturday, not as strong for Saturday, but still not the perfect day. But then Sunday's forecast, gorgeous. We're looking at a really, really nice Sunday. All right, the energy that we're dealing with, it's coming in abundance. We can feel it in the atmosphere, that sticky, humid, muggy atmosphere. As this cold front slices through it, we're talking big storms. And some of the greatest threats with this will be the very heavy downpours, especially along the 400. Think about the 400 on a Friday in August. It is already very busy. You add these thunderstorms into the mix, it's going to be a mess. Honestly, my advice, if you can put it off till Saturday, I'd put it off to Saturday. Those are the main threats that we're going to be dealing with. Isolated tornado. We don't want to scare you. We just want to make sure you're prepared along the shores of Huron, this region here, and then also throughout Cottage Country. Those are where the parameters are looking ripe and are looking possible for a tornado today. All right, Emily, I want to turn things over to you because, of course, we have to keep in mind that the weather's going to be active, but we can still have a lot of fun. Still looking bright out there in Toronto. Taste of the Danforth going on this weekend.
You can come to her. It's all Greek to me. We've got plates. You write the name of somebody who's angry at you. And
Ready?
Then you throw it at the fireplace. Let's see
And then you got to say, Oppa!
Oh, Oppa!
Oppa! I've wanted to do that my entire life, Rachel. My entire life. I'm going to send things back inside to you with more of the forecast details.
Now it's captured on live TV. All right, more from Taste of the Danforth and more on the storms when we return. A system is coming for us, and we have all of the details right here on the Weather Wake Up this morning. Thanks so much for tuning into the Weather Network. I'm Rachel Schoutsen. Emily Vukovic, she's at the Taste of the Danforth. So much tzatziki and awesome food out there. We're going to be checking in with her in a second. But first up, a look at the skies across the GTA. We had another great rush hour, which is, of course, great news in August. I was just thinking, in September, when we're back into that usual grind and all the cars are going to be out on the roads again, it's going to be quite the change. But this morning was hazy. This afternoon will be stormy, and that's because this system, it's rolling right in. We can feel that heat, the humidity in the air mass, and as this cold front interacts with it, that's when we're really going to see this big, powerful line of storms. So we're going to take a closer look at the thunderstorm risk, and we're also going to discuss some of the main threats that we're expecting today and time out some of those storms too. That's all coming up just after Emily. But right now, the Taste of the Danforth. We hand things over to you. Good morning, Emily. It's because we're waiting for that prime time around noon to 3. That's when that cold front is going to be coming in. And as it interacts with our air mass, things are going to be explosive, to say the least. We are really looking at the potential for powerful storms, especially north of the 407. So up towards Barrie, around Georgian Bay, isolated and severe risk. Also isolated and severe risk around the Huron shores. And basically, this is because these are the areas where we could potentially see the development of some rotation. And for that reason, we're not ruling out the risk of a tornado. Essentially, this strong southerly wind moves in across southern Ontario today. But as the cold front comes in, that brings in that real westerly wind. So that's going to lead to some change with wind direction, with height in the atmosphere that causes that storm to rotate. That's why we could be seeing a tornado. A couple other risks we could see, of course, are huge damaging winds. Look at this in Colorado. This was seen yesterday, literally shredding apart trees and bushes, creating a mess of this person's street, and also the risk of flash flooding as well. Add these thunderstorms into the mix. They should be more powerful north of the 407 heading up to Barrie. I'm thinking your drive is going to be very slow, very delayed today, so perhaps think about heading up on Saturday instead of today. When we come back, your Long Ranger's next, and we're talking about the return of the 30s.